It began as an ordinary morning for Tony Stark, or as ordinary as mornings could be for a billionaire genius and superhero. Perched in his Malibu mansion, Tony was engrossed in tweaking a new energy-efficient reactor when JARVIS, his ever-faithful AI assistant, chimed in. "Sir, there's an urgent broadcast coming through from a remote village in South America. It appears they are experiencing an unprecedented health crisis." Tony barely glanced up. JARVIS, the last time we got involved in a crisis, it was a setup by Hammer Industries. Remind me to send them a fruit basket of contempt. "This situation appears to be genuine, sir," JARVIS replied. "Reports indicate dozens of fatalities already, with symptoms progressing at an alarming rate. The local government has reached out for international assistance, but resources are scarce." Tony paused, then swiveled in his chair. He brought up the holographic display showing images of the afflicted village. Families mourning lost loved ones, children coughing violently, and makeshift tents overflowing with the sick. Something about the raw desperation in their eyes struck a chord. "All right," he sighed, grabbing his portable AI interface. "Send me the coordinates and prepare the Mark 47 suit. Looks like Iron Man's about to add medical aid to his resume." The flight to the remote village was long. The jungle below a sea of green, punctuated by patches of smoke from burning pyres. The illness had spread so rapidly that the dead were being cremated to prevent further infection. As Tony landed in the heart of the village, locals stared in awe. His red and gold suit gleamed even amidst the bleak atmosphere. "Iron Man!" a little boy shouted, his voice hoarse from coughing. Tony approached the village elder, a woman named Amara. Her weathered face bore the exhaustion of someone who had seen too much pain in too little time. "Are you here to save us?" she asked, her voice trembling with hope. "I'm here to try," Tony replied, his tone uncharacteristically soft. Amara led him to the epicenter of the outbreak, a crowded clinic where doctors struggled to treat patients. Tony activated his suit's environmental sensors to scan for anomalies. The results were grim. JARVIS, cross-reference these pathogens with global databases, Tony ordered. "Analyzing, sir. Preliminary results suggest a novel virus, possibly zoonotic in origin." JARVIS responded. Tony frowned. Translation: "Something jumped from animals to humans. Great." One of the doctors, a young man named Diego, approached Tony. "We don't have the equipment to test or treat this. People are dying faster than we can figure out what's happening." Tony nodded. "You focus on keeping people stable. I'll handle the tech." Over the next few days, Tony worked tirelessly. He deployed miniature drones equipped with advanced sensors to map the spread of the disease. Using nanotechnology, he created portable air filtration systems for the villagers. He even modified his suit to synthesize antiviral compounds in real time. Despite his efforts, the situation grew worse. Children like the boy who had recognized him earlier were now gravely ill, their families looking to Tony as their last hope. "How do you keep going?" Amara asked one evening as Tony sat repairing a drone. He hesitated before answering. "I've spent most of my life fixing problems I created. For once, I'd like to fix something just because it's the right thing to do." Days turned into weeks. Tony's lab in the village became a hub of innovation. He identified the virus's origin, a rare species of bat found deep in the jungle. The bats had been displaced by illegal mining operations, bringing them into contact with humans. JARVIS, get me a live feed of any mining activity in a 50-mile radius, Tony instructed. When the feed came through, it showed a sprawling operation guarded by armed men. It was clear the miners were aware of the virus, but continued their work regardless. Tony clenched his fists. These guys just made it personal. That night, Iron Man descended on the mining camp like a vengeful comet. Armed with non-lethal weaponry, he disabled their equipment and rounded up the workers. His voice boomed through the camp. "You've poisoned an entire village for a quick payday. Hope it was worth it," one of the miners sneered. "You think you can stop us? We'll just move somewhere else." Tony's reply was cold and calculated. "Not if the world knows what you've done." Using his suit's broadcasting capabilities, Tony transmitted live footage of the miners' activities to international news outlets. Within hours, the operation was shut down and humanitarian aid began pouring into the region. Back in the village, Tony worked with Diego and Amara to distribute the antiviral serum he had developed. It wasn't a perfect cure, but it slowed the virus enough for patients to recover with proper care. The boy who had called him Iron Man was among the first to recover. When he finally left his bed, he ran to Tony and hugged him tightly. "Thank you for saving us," the boy whispered. For once, Tony was at a loss for words. Months later, as the village began to rebuild, Tony prepared to leave. Amara handed him a small wooden carving of his suit. "To remember us by," she said. Tony smiled, his heart lighter than it had been in years. "I won't forget." As he flew off into the sunset, the village below seemed smaller, but infinitely brighter. Tony Stark had come as a hero, but he left as a symbol of hope. And in a world full of chaos, that was the cure they needed most. Share your thought in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I pour my heart into crafting stories like this for you, and your support is the one helps me keep going. I appreciate having you on this journey,